Hey everybody, so if you have been following the wellness community, if you paid attention to the Senate Roundtable, if you listen to some of these experts on podcasts and things like that, you'll see a lot of talk about big food or the big food industry. And the major concern is that the big food industry is not good for us. There's a lot of sugar, there's a lot of processed carbohydrates, things that are increasing the chronic inflammation in our body, increasing chronic disease. Now, as an orthopedic surgeon, or if you follow any of my sites, I talk a lot about chronic inflammation and how it contributes to a lot of our orthopedic ailments, and it even contributes to some of our orthopedic injuries. So sometimes you have a pretty bad injury with minimal force, and it's because our bodies are worn out due to chronic inflammation. But there is a little bit of a narrative that our food is toxic, that we're adding poisons to it, that it's all for the money. And I do want to walk that back a little bit. So although I agree there's big problems with our food sources, and I'm well aware that some of the same food, say in Canada or Europe, is way healthier than it is here. And I have a friend right now who just got back from Europe. He ate a ton. He had a lot of bread. He had a lot of food that he normally would not eat here. And he still lost 4 pounds because their food has less problems than our food does. So I get it. And I do know that there's some people who need a finger to point. They want to have a bad guy. And if that makes you eat healthier, if you eat more fruits and vegetables and less processed food because you're pointing at the bad guy, that's fine. If that's what it takes to motivate you, then I'm all for it. Okay. I'm all for you going to the farmer's market, buying locally, eating grass-fed beef, eating fish, trying to improve your health. There's actually evidence, and it was on a Huberman lab. I can't remember the exact episode, but the experts said that the number one commercial for anti-smoking, like back in the day when I was growing up, there was a ton of people smoking. There was a ton of commercials that were trying to get you not to smoke. And the number one commercial to stop people from smoking was showing the big fat cats in a boardroom laughing at people for smoking and how they were making a ton of money off of your smoking. So if you see big food as the rich guys who are trying to poison you and they're working with big medicine, so you eat the food to make you sick and they make money off of that, and then they own the medical companies that sell you the medicine to make you better and they make money off of that and they're just laughing at you. If that is going to motivate you to get healthy, then that's what you do, okay? But there is another side to the story. So for all of human history, we have been searching for food sources that would stop starvation, okay? So we were looking for calorie-dense food, we were looking for food that tastes good, and we were looking for food that stored well, okay? So the food industry has completed their mission. They've gotten that done. They've accomplished it. So not everything had an evil source to it. You know, we have a tendency to think of things as all good or all bad. So we want to think of the food industry as like Darth Vader and Emperor Palpatine and the stormtroopers from Star Wars and think they're all bad. But think about it. They had a job, and their job was to feed the nation, feed the world, and they've gotten it done. Did they do too much? Did they put in preservatives that we don't need to make it taste too good or look too good or store well? They might have gone overboard, but the best way to get them to change their ways is to let them know you want to change their ways. The way you let them know you change their ways is to don't eat their stuff, okay? So don't eat processed food, don't eat sugary food, and they'll change their ways. That they want to make money. They want to survive as a company. And we all, if you've heard it, you've heard the story of the Lucky Charms. So Lucky Charms in Canada doesn't have all the dyes that it has here. And here it's brighter color, it has dyes, and the dyes aren't good for it. I get it. But like when I was growing up, we were not allowed to eat Lucky Charms because Lucky Charms had too much sugar. There was no nutrition in it. You know, it says it's fortified with minerals, but seriously, everybody knows there's no nutrition in Lucky Charms. But when I went to college, they had Lucky Charms there. So in the cafeteria, I would eat my dinner, and if I was still a little bit hungry, I would eat Lucky Charms. So when would I eat my Lucky Charms? At dessert time. So even me in college at 18 years old, and I was a knucklehead at 18 years old, I knew it was dessert. And, you know, I don't have Lucky Charms. We don't have Lucky Charms in our house, but that is something that you just educate yourself. So like I said, you have a computer in your pocket, use your cell phone, educate yourself on all these foods. I used an app that my son's buddy, Andrew, gave him or told him about called Bobby Approved. You scan the food label and it basically tells you what's in the food. It says if it's Bobby approved, then it's healthy. But if it's Bobby not approved, it shows you the concerns that Bobby has. I don't know who Bobby is, but it gives the information. You can be like, oh, it has this in it. Some things you might be like, maybe I'm not that worried about dairy. But then sometimes there's preservatives and chemicals. And I'm like, I would rather not have that in my body. And then it gives you an alternative. So my take home message is, if you need to point your finger at big food to get yourself motivated, I'm all for it. But just remember, there's a lot of people who have been, working for these companies, thought they were helping society. My family used to sell bread, and it was white bread. Like now white bread is like, oh, you don't eat white bread, it's not good for you. And honestly, I don't eat white bread. I try not to eat bread. When I do eat bread, it's usually sourdough bread, or I realize that it's a treat. But it's not like white bread was done on purpose. Nobody was trying to get you addicted to white bread. It's just that that's what they knew at the time. And now we're starting to learn. So I'm just a little bit more optimistic. I'm saying let's not treat big food like they're evil and they're only trying to make money. Let's try to give them a chance to adjust and make the food healthier. But we as consumers need to demand that the food be healthier. And the first way you do that is don't buy the food. Don't buy the unhealthy options. But let's be optimistic that it can get better. Do everything we can for our health. So do the best you can, but still, you're supposed to avoid processed food. You're supposed to avoid sugar. So stay away from it. And big food will react, and maybe even the government will react. Maybe the government will start subsidizing healthy food and healthy options and fruits and vegetables and lean meats and fish, wild caught fish and things like that. But you can't wait for all these big changes to happen, okay? If you wait for your politician to fix your diet, or you wait for big food to fix your diet, then you're going to be waiting a long time. It's going to be too late. You have to start now, today. And if you think that, it's not your fault, it's like big food did it to you and you want to point the finger at big food, well, you can't just sit there and do nothing. You have to stop eating big food. So get out there. I wish you luck, whichever approach you do. If you need big food as your enemy and you want to stick it to the man and that's going to get you to the gym and eat your fruits and vegetables, then go on that side. But if you're more like optimistic and you don't really want that negative energy, you don't want that hate, you don't want to think that everybody who works for a food company is bad and out to get you, then use the option that, hey, the big food does make some good foods and you just need to take the time to read labels and find the good ones. So get out there. Good luck.